in different directions. Woohoo! Happy book club.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. All right. Well, I guess that's today.
Are you ladies planning on sharing anything like on a screen? Do I need to make you a co-host so you can do that?
No, I'm not that official.
Okay.
We just chat.
Okay. Can you tell I do that a lot for work?
I'm not in charge today, sorry.
Okay.
So I don't know if all of you guys know Gina. Gina is on Brooke's team, and she has done the last few book clubs that we've done with Brooke before. So welcome, Gina.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go backwards, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So did everyone read the introduction? Some of you guys are probably like way past the introduction because everyone else is always overachievers and reads way more.
I've only read the introduction, so
Okay, good.
it's fine.
Me too.
I got the audiobook
Same.
and promptly fell asleep listening to the first chapter yesterday. So I tried to be an achiever, but
Her voice is very soothing. I listened to the sample because I was like, do I want to download the audiobook or I'm going to read the book? I chose to read it for now, but we might switch. You got both. There you go. I can start. I'll share some of my thoughts of it. I'm reading it on my Kindle. I saw Joni is reading it on a Kindle too.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have just notes on my phone, but I need to get a journal because that was something she mentioned.
I know. I noticed that too. And I haven't, you said you put notes on your phone because it says in your Kindle that you can do notes in your Kindle too, or?
Yeah, I've tried it. It's not as easy. I feel like it's just super easy for me to just get on my phone versus Kindle. Does your Kindle kind of have a delay? A little bit, like?
Maybe just a little, but not.
Yeah, so I just found it easier to pull up notes on my phone and I just type it in real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see. I loved the phrase she said when she said kindred warrior sisters. I was like, that's gonna be our little group.
Yeah. Let me grab my Kindle.
I think I put it in the chat, Fred, but it was really just that first sentence, that the quintessential perfectionist predicament, that what we're striving for and what actually exists can never meet. So kind of, I like her theme of like overcoming that all or nothing.
Oh, yes.
Too. Like that was like page 1, line 1. Okay, we're done.
I highlighted some things that stood out to me. If I could find them.
One of the things that I particularly took interest in was like that perfection mindset, how like as you break through those barriers, it allows you to move forward in God's will. Like that's just kind of my perception of it. Like how fear like holds us back in God's will. Like when we hear that still voice, it's like, yeah, but. And like when my kids do that to me, when I give them an instruction, it drives me bonkers. I didn't ask your opinion. I told you to do something. And that just like brought me back to that. Like, that's what I'm instilling that in my kids when I'm not, but I hear you, God, but, and because of fear, because what if it doesn't look, the outcome isn't what I envisioned, instead of like, you see everything and you have laid the path before me and I could trust that you're good and that so on and so forth. But that was like the big driver for me. I'm like, okay, I hear you, Lord. We're going to read this whole book.
I think
I feel like I should have did it better. Go ahead, Krista. Sorry.
Oh, and I think it goes with what you just said. I love, I just kind of highlight too, but exactly what you just said. I love how she talked about the shift in how you move through your days. that it's a way of living that allows you to dance with your dreams instead of dodging potential mistakes. Like, what are we rooted in, right? Fears only from the enemy. So if
Mhm.
we're shifting and like what you just said too, instead of the yeah buts. Yeah, but God.
Yeah. I found it interesting, like what she said about perfect, and like it, not so much pertaining to me, but I definitely see it more in other relationships where like the idea of perfectionism where it roots from, and um like oftentimes it's people that have battled something like an eating disorder, or if she mentioned like growing up with parents that had alcoholism, and just like that like sense of like control for a safety as a safety mechanism. I heard a podcast a couple years ago about like the Enneagram and like child trauma, and how like each Enneagram, how they connect with trauma. And for like mine, so I'm a 1, and my link to trauma like is my inner critic. And so like that's just something that I've battled my entire life, not necessarily anything that's happened to me or around me. It's just like that's
Tyler,
my
take over.
first like
Sorry.
no, you're totally fine. Like that's just my first relationship with trauma is myself and my own mind and my own thoughts. But I just thought it was really interesting to see like how she connects trauma to that perfection mindset.
For me, I can like that part of the perfectionism coming out of alcoholism. Sorry, there's like a plane above outside. I think that that definitely came. That's like for me. My parents weren't alcoholics, but my mom's father was, and she definitely is perfectionist, and that's trickled down to me. So much, like I think it, just like anything else, it can definitely be generational. But yeah, I definitely think it's like a tool that they use of the little control that you have over in your life. Like my mom's extremely, I mean, a lot of things, but like, especially with cleanliness in the house, like everything has to be just exactly perfect, still. And that was because that, I think for her was like the one thing she could control was like how the house, like, or how clean the house was, even when she was little, young girl. So, yeah.
That's funny you say that. I was just thinking the same thing. My parents weren't alcoholics, but my dad grew up with his dad, my grandpa, being an alcoholic and treating my grandma horribly. And my dad had a brother, but my dad was always the one that had to go pick him up in jail or pick him up from the police station, and found him in the gutter and all that. So, and he still had trauma. I mean, he just passed away a couple of years ago, but even to this day, he still had trauma from growing up like that. And he's such a perfectionist and always expected us, I think, to be that way. That's interesting.
I liked how she just talked about how like everyone's story, like right now, everyone's is gonna be different, but we're all gonna like figure out how it relates to us. And then even like she talked about how it could be in different spots of your life. Like it's not always gonna be the whole thing that you could be a perfectionist, just little stuff. And I think that'll be cool to hear everyone's story and like kind of relate to each other through it.
Yeah, I connected more with that part of like, not that like my whole personality is a perfectionist, but it was like certain aspects. Like I was always a perfectionist with like sports. Like I was like, I have to be the best. Like if I played softball, and like if I got struck out, I would like cry and like throw my mitt down. Not my proudest moments, but my dad would always be like, Brooke, like what are you doing? You know? And then even like growing older, like teaching, it was like after I will say after all this craziness the past few years, I've sort of let some of that go because I'm like, I need to just mentally be okay. But like before that, it was very much like I have to have this done and we need to do this and like my room needs to look this way. And like I've kind of had to like let some of that go because I'm like, I just can't keep living like that. And then I will say before this journey too, it was always like, you know, oh, I messed up. I'm just forget it. I'm just throwing in the towel. Like, I'm over it. I can't do it. Like, you know, I'm done. So for me, I'm more identified with like the little aspects of like perfectionism, like in certain spots, not just like my whole personality.
I liked one part that I put in was like the comparing to social media and like just like how that is kind of how it is. And it really resonated even just with our body group, because I think, I don't know if anyone else can relate, but like sometimes I'll compare myself to each one of you. Not even, I don't mean it to come out negative, but I'll be like, oh, everyone else worked out today. I didn't get to, you know, and you just get that comparison. And yeah, so it was just something I could relate to. And I tried to, like, even today, I tried to open up more of my stories because I'm like, I do want that to be more. I wish that was more of a thing where you share the days where you don't always perfect, you know, and I mean, the perfectionist. So I thought that was really nice. And I liked, she talked about also with that, like having to raise daughters in a world where it's like that. And I've made that comment on my social media before, of like raising my daughters not to live up to what that perfect, I don't know, social media standard. So, and how I can take that from what I learned from the book into raising my girls. So
That's good, Sarah. It's interesting. I'm like listening to how you talk about, she brings it from the alcoholic past or just traumas, like you talk about relating, whether it's your own self or, you know, critic. And I wonder, like you said too, Joni, like generationally, I know my mom, there was such an image to have to live under, right? Like the clean house, the, you know, but her marriage was broken, her parents were mean. So it's interesting how she really kind of stepped it back, like you said too, Gina, it's usually from an element of control, like something, but it really is an element of brokenness, you know? And so just kind of looking at that, and it's interesting, for years, my mom actually always like accused me of being a perfectionist. Like, why do you have to be such a perfectionist and all the things? And I would get so mad because I'm like, I always said I'm kind of more of an idealist. There's a lot of things I like the ideal idea of, but certain details and other things that's not. Like you said, there's different pieces of our personality, right? So much grace for others and not perfection in that. But I'm looking around the house. Luckily, we're all aiming this way because it's a mess right now and it makes me nuts. like where do we get these like different pieces? And I started realizing, I wonder, you know, that image that I'm now realizing was very hard to be authentic, that it was really her saying that I was such a perfectionist was really like how things stayed okay and got love and, you know, didn't get yelled at. And it was kind of like, wait, it's reversed. So whether it's alcoholism or some piece of brokenness, that was my whole thing. I realized it's really comes from really a piece of brokenness that we're trying to like keep together, you know, hold together ourselves instead of really just like letting the Lord heal and hold it together.
I kind of wonder if we're going to have some realization chapters with maybe some tears in the future, you know, like it's gonna, I feel like it's gonna be an emotional book almost to get past all those, what was the word you just used? Brokenness, you know, to find what's causing our perfection mindset.
I'll warn you, chapter 1 is like that if you haven't been there yet.
Even just her little preview of it, I kind of had a feeling.
I had read it. I was trying to re-listen to it, but yeah, she really makes you stop and think about what some of those key statements are we're saying in our head over and over. And when you start to realize what it is, it's a little emotional.
I just started chapter 1. I haven't got through it very much, so.
Have you got any of you guys done the mindset on body yet?
I haven't. Is it good? Is it good? Anybody done it?
I will say I'm working through the happiness habits. I did sort of watched the, I don't even know, the Para, however she says it, might have fallen asleep through the video and never rewatched it. So I haven't actually done the little thing, but I need to. But I like the little happiness habit things. Like, it's good. And like, there's things that I'm like, oh yeah, I do that. Or like, I was able to like take away, like there was one, she was like, oh, like write down 3 things you're grateful for every day. I'm like, oh, I do that already. Like, that's cool. Like, so it's a good, I think it's a really great addition to what we already have. And I'm excited to see like kind of other things that they come out with next month and stuff.
I mean,
So.
is there a new video every day or once a week?
There's what do they call it? Let me, I don't want to say it wrong. So it's like Mondays and Fridays, they're like releasing a new video. And then there's like 4 like videos to like watch. So it's the happiness habits. So there's, yeah, like the mindset masterclass. So there's 4 videos. Most of them are under 10 minutes. The last one's 20 minutes. And then Mondays, they call them the quick shift, and they're all 3 minutes each. And then Fridays are think space, and they're like 5 minutes. So,
Yes.
and it builds off of the like masterclass videos.
So when they did the body launch on that, like that live on a like that random Sunday, one of the things that was said that really resonated with me, and I'm like really meditating on it, is he said like pretty much in a nutshell, like normalizing failure, because we will, no matter what you do, no matter what your goal is, you are going to fail. And that's just trial and error. That's human nature. And instead of being afraid of failure, like learning how to embrace it, and like just a simple analogy, if you fall, what happens when you fall? Do you stay down or do you get up? Like, you can see that fall as a failure and you can stay in that, or you can choose to get up. Even if you have to limp off the field, you are still getting up. And what do people do when they see a ball player limp off a field? They stand up, they cheer, right? And so just normalizing that has been such a, I don't know, it's been a very freeing thing that he shared, that I feel like I was super excited getting into this. I'm like, okay, like, Lord, you want to work on me. I hear you, I see you. And that's what he started with, was you are going to fail. But just normalizing that, and even using that, like, you know, almost like a sales pitch. Like, how often do you hear like a company or see a company saying like, you're going to fail, just so you know. But here are the tools that will allow you to get up, that will allow you to rehab, to heal, and to get stronger.
I like that.
Yeah, and it reminded me of like how Alana talks about like the scale and like using it as a tool. Like, okay, so you had a game day. Are you just going to throw in the towel and freak out? Or let's look at your tracker. Like, what did you eat? Did you have enough water? How'd you sleep last night? Like, so I liked how he said that too. Cause I was like, you're right. We are going to fail. We're not going to be perfect like every single day. But like, how are you going to learn from it? How are you going to keep moving forward?
I always think of like when kind of the same thought I have is like when I started, and I've told my story, is like I said I was going to go all in for those 30 days to see if, Beachbody Body worked. That was my selling point to join with you ladies. And so I went all in, and I was 100%, and I was 100% for so long. But like he says, you can only be all in for so long before you get burned out. And so now I feel like this year I'm really trying to learn how I can't be all in 100% every single day. And I'm trying to balance that out. And so that's what I'm pretty excited about the book, is just to get out of that. I can't always be all in. Like, you're going to get burned out more often. So it's kind of what I always struggle with.
I kind of feel
Go
feel
ahead.
that too with like our accountability groups. I'm always like not comparing, but I'm like, some days it's like, it's just, hard enough to get through the day and get my workout in. And then I have to like post on there, or you know what I'm saying, keep active on there. And that makes me stressed out and anxious sometimes. Like I had told Jamie, I'm like, I feel bad, but it's stressing me out more to have to like feeling like I have to be on that accountability group all the time. And I need to just give myself grace, and I don't have to. I mean, I'm still here. I just don't have to like post all the time, and or
Yeah.
not post, but does it stress anybody else out feeling like you're not?
All the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I saw this amazing, beautiful woman working out on the beach this morning, and I was like, oh no, if she can do it camping, then I better get my booty in gear.
Oh, God.
I'm just teasing you, Joni.
That's perfect. That's
I'm like, who's she talking about?
This the amazing beach babe.
Oh my gosh.
so perfect.
Overwhelmed with all the messages, but like I sometimes just, I'm like, you know what, it's for me, I'm like, it just helps for me posting, and I don't even care if anybody else sees it. I'm like, I just know it makes me feel good to like post, and I'm sure people just won't scroll right by me, and that's fine, because I'll do that to some people too. Like there's just too many messages sometimes.
There is.
That's another thing that I just kind of like let go, and like I'll post for myself, make sure I'm accountable, but then if nobody even likes it, I don't care. It's fine.
It's like whatever works for that person.
It's kind of like reminding yourself of like your truth, like you said, Brooke, it's an accountability for you, and it's something like that you have satisfaction in checking off. And as long as you're doing it for you, then you're there for the right reason. And I so admit I'm on there and I'll get anxious because I see everyone checking off their boxes and I haven't yet, or like people making amazing meals, and I'm like, yeah, no, that was not me today. I either ate from a box or I didn't eat anything at all, because I'd rather eat nothing than eat from a box. Like just like simple things like that when we all have those days. But yeah, it's just like reminding yourself of your truths. So like, I'm here for me. This is still for my health journey, not for anyone else's. It's like, and it always is an encouragement, like too. But when I do get anxious, I have to remind myself, what are my truths? Why am I here?
I can relate to the. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I just was here for all that little conversation. It was really good, because I think most of us probably feel like we're the only ones much of the time. And that's even what you said, Erica, like we're gonna fail. Like I think I'm gonna just really sit on that for a bit, because I mean, I reached out to Jess today, and you know, it's such a frustrating physical journey that I'm in right now, that doing the beginning block, I don't know, it was Kendra, I was talking to Kendra, doing the beginning block ended me up in bed for like 36 hours last weekend. Like, hello, the beginner block. From someone who, like, I love the programs, right? And when it was easy to share is when that piece of it was working. That's the easiest one really to share. When you're like moving and people are like, I don't know how you do it. And you're like, you know what? It's not that hard. Well, guess what? Now it's really hard. So just hearing that, like, you're going to fail, and trying to figure out what part of this, you know, is the healthy part, because preview the next one, when she has you think about what those top 3 negative sentences are that you tell yourself. And I realized one is like, I'm always behind. If my body will not get up at the crack of dawn, which it won't, and everybody's already done like 5 things by the time I get up, I feel behind, right? So then you can go in the all or nothing, like, well, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I'm really excited. Like, I'm here to hear each of you as you've just shared, because it's like, oh, it's the mental challenge. And then Jess was talking about discipline, and I was like, oh, so it feels so not disciplined, right? In that component though, but can I discipline my mind a little better of not letting, you know, ourselves really go down those spirals? So yeah, I think all of it's going to be really good, but definitely needed to hear that. Yeah, what brought joy at the very beginning? I've been thinking about that a lot, you know. what was easy to share, like you said, Sarah, like, because you did something that brought you joy. And I keep thinking, what brought me joy in the beginning? Like Joni, what, I wasn't stressed out about having to do all these things at the beginning, probably because I didn't do them all, first of all. So what can we do, right? What piece can I do that shares that same joy, you know? And right now it's just confusing because I'm like, well, I took a walk again. But sharing this, that we have this group, that we're looking at this, that we're sharing, like, those are so valuable. So thank you for sharing what you guys just did.
Thank you, Jesus, for healthy legs and healthy feet
Yeah, totally.
and healthy lungs.
And that I'm not asleep right now. I'm talking to you all. So
Dina, did
Thank you for starting that, Sarah.
Dina, did you read the intro?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What were your thoughts?
It was very thought-provoking and maybe too much so. Because it was like, yeah, I was talking to your mother-in-law yesterday on my walk, and I had just finished reading it, and I was like, oh, well, I get this from here and I get that from there, and yeah, that's just a lot of stuff right there. And that whole perfectionist thing and the whole like trauma-based, make sure everybody's happy kind of thing. And you know, I had a very emotional mother, and I had a very, I don't know that I would use the word narcissistic, but close, soon to be ex-husband. And it just has really put into perspective, I don't want to cry, how much I've put myself on the back burner and for how long. So those were my thoughts.
Well, this
And I'm
is your
excited
year
to read
too.
the rest. Yep. And it's nice to meet you ladies who I don't know.
You too.
One thing I really liked as she was going, Dina, I got tears just hearing what you said. I think this is going to, Sarah, you said that. I think there is going to be a lot of tears, but maybe that's like, I mean, not even maybe, I think that's okay, because that's how you maybe work through some of these this is big things, you know? But one thing I really liked, and I don't even know what these pages, but is like, anyway, the very beginning, when she's going over like the different parts and she's like, let me give you the cliff notes of the whole book. I really liked, and I think it was important for her to say, like, it's okay if you don't finish each of them. Like, she's like, you should do them in order, but if there's one that you don't, you know, doesn't really speak to you, that's okay. And if you want to spend more time on one, that's okay. I mean, I feel like she kind of needed to say that just in the whole, you know, trying not to be a perfectionist, but I like it too, because I do think that because we are all different, and you know, like, it's interesting when she was saying how with perfectionism, a lot of times people don't take risks. And I was like, I feel like I do. I mean, for me, and everybody's different, but like, I do take like a lot of risks and all of that, but it comes up in like other ways, I guess, for myself, you know what I mean? And like we all have said, it's each person, it'll be like a little bit different, and maybe in different areas or whatever. But yeah, I liked that a lot. It kind of takes a little pressure off, you know, and I think that's the only way it can work, is like, if you just focus on the things that are the most important to you, or that it resonates with you.
Yeah, I liked that she said that too, Gina, because I was like, oh, okay. I mean, after Elizabeth's questionnaires, I was like, oh no. But yeah, so I liked that she also said, like, if you have to come back to it, you can come back to it. Maybe you won't be able to do it, whatever. I liked that too.
I like the journaling aspect too. Just
Mhm.
writing everything down and just like really kind of digging in. Like, I think that's really going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
you'd think she knew that if we got to a step, Gina, that we couldn't get past, we would just stop.
Exactly. Right.
Maybe she knew that.
She knew.
I really appreciated that point too. I was like, oh, I don't have to digest oh, whatever it was, 21 steps.
Takes one to know one.
Yeah.
I think it will be just so cool to see how everyone interprets each step, and maybe like we'll learn from someone else, or just be like, oh yeah, that's true, I kind of do that too, and maybe something you didn't think of in the moment, but just to kind of grow from each other.
I need to get a journal and then start. That's going to be very helpful to do that for each step.
I have about 50 that are like a few pages started if you'd like one.
I do.
Anyone else?
Ditto.
Yeah, I do too. You know, you always have to have a new one for everything.
I literally read that and was like,
So
no,
true.
I'm not getting another journal. No, I'm not getting one. I will tear pages out of something old, but
Yeah.
I do it every time.
Or I've done that
was
so
the
many times where
opposite.
like I'll tear pages and then I restart and then I have to tear them again. Sorry,
I
Sarah,
was
go
the
ahead.
opposite. I'm excited to go buy a new journal for this. I'll just add another one to the collection.
Totally.
Well, I'm excited, ladies, to have you guys all here for the book club, and I'm excited for us to all have these emotional meetings every other Tuesday. We need a good break because I think they might be emotional every other week.
And I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Give me grace in the last week because it'll be right after my kid is graduated and left for the summer. So
Oh my goodness.
I picked to do this with y'all for a reason.
Yes,
I trust you.
Mm.
Uh,
It'll be perfect in anybody's stage of life.
Yep.
Let's take a little picture. I'll just do a picture. I'm not good at the boomerangs like Amy is. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
I feel like I always do something dumb on the boomerang. So I'm all, oh, oh no, I did not do that.
Before we go, I do like at the very end where she gives like her tidbits, like her little like pointers, 5 and 6. And I think Krista, this is just such a sweet reminder for you. So number 5 is number 4, I'm afraid of, honestly. It says stay curious during the detox and welcome the revelation about yourself. That I do not like. But number 5 is some days you will rock the detox and some days just showing up will be enough. And number 6 is do your best and that will be perfect. So I thought I was
Thank
just
you,
looking at
friend.
that.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
sometimes waking up is enough.
Yes, and it's enough to give glory where glory is due.
I remember reading that too, Erica, and I was like, yes, I needed that today.
Yeah, that number 4 though, I think I'm gonna scratch it out.
No.
Nope, ain't gonna happen.
So are we reading like all of part 1 for next time then? Is that kind of what we're thinking? I know that's what you and I were talking about, Sarah, but I didn't
Yeah,
know.
did that timeline look good for everyone else?
Yeah, it made sense. I mean, I think it's like the first one's like 60 pages. That's, you know, in 2 weeks, like if we chunk it out in a little bit
Yeah.
each day or whatever. Yeah, because you sent us that image that had all the different time.
The breakdown.
Yeah, that was good.
I kind of just felt keeping those parts together. I had a feeling she must have them together for a reason. So
Yeah, totally.
So we're just doing part 1.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's one step
ours
1
will
to
be-
7.
Yeah, ours will be longer than 21 days, like she said, which I think could be better. We
Yeah.
won't be rushing it so much, but
All right.
yeah. So we'll see you not next Tuesday, but the following one.
Okay.
Yes.
Good to see you, ladies.
Yes, I'm so happy you guys all showed up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, girls.